It was a week ago tonight that the Budget Truck Series hit the track for the very first time at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. An incredible race with lots of action galore. Ryan Durrani dominated the latter stages of the race, but Rogel came from behind and stole the win right out of turn 4 heading down the front. He beat him in a photo finish. And tonight, Dawn looks to go 2 from 2, and he's got a very good opportunity at doing so. Starting from the pole here in the second race of the season here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. This is the Alsco 250, the longest race of the season distance-wise, the second race of 8 here in the Budget Truck Series. Good evening everybody and welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway and Concord, North Carolina. I'm Stuart Grant, your host and broadcaster here for this evening. Great to have your company here for the second race of the season, the Alsco 250, a 40-lap event coming your way here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So 40% of what the Coke 600 is, let's say a little less than half of what the Bank of America 500 was about a month or so ago. And as we saw last week, it was a hectic race. We had a bit of a patch where we had it was a bit calm. It would be fair to say, but we did have lead changes. Two of the heavy hitters in that race, Rocket Dawn, of course, the race winner, Jerry Chen, led a lot of laps in that one. They ended up, they're starting up towards the front. Ryan Durrani is also starting not that far back in the 18. They were the main competitors, really, in terms of this result. And it was Rocket Dawn, as I said, who stole the win away right at the end in what was a very close, was going to be one of the closest finishes that we've seen on the channel. It was a very tight finish and quite fun to say the least. And so we're looking forward to the next 7 races. Of course, another intermediate speedway, another 1.5 mile oval, this time a quad oval here, Concord, North Carolina, the home of, all of these teams just about, all these teams in real life in the Craftsman Truck Series, of course. And this will be a very interesting race. Charlotte's always a lot of fun. We're looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. Championship stands come into this race. Royal Dawn, as I said, comes into this race with a 4-point advantage, of course, coming off the back of that win. Of course, only one race in, so it's all very tight. Ryan Durrani led the most laps last week. He is 4 points back. Caleb Rose had a great run last week. He was really up there for much of the night, and he ended up finding his way at the front of the field. He ended up third. He's third in the points. Jerry Chen, fourth in points. Those two, 7 back. OS Josh, he had a great night. He's 5th in the championship, 9 back. Carson Riggy, 10 back. Ray Gillespie started a long way back. He worked his way through the field very, very well in the 99. Be interesting to see how he goes tonight. I think it'd be fair to say. He is 7th in the championship. Dominic Anthony is 8th in the championship. Carson Miller, 9th in the championship. Logan Williams, 10th in the championship. Williams, 14 points back. Dominic Anthony, who we mentioned just before, was the winner of the Granton Cup Series race here late in the season. Not that it makes too much of a difference here in an equal rating series, but we'll see how he fares. And of course, all of his drivers fare. 40 laps tonight, no pit stops. And we're looking forward to seeing how this race will play out. And let's head to our starting lineup with thanks to Granton Racing Technologies. Rogal Dawn, the number 44, winner from last week, championship leader after one race. He will lead the field to green. Jared Oren in the 91 will start alongside. Oren had a pretty decent run, but finished just outside the top 10. He starts from the outside the front row. Brennan Wilmington, someone we didn't see up at the front last week. He's in the number 38, alongside one of the main combatants from last week, Jerry Chen, in the number 16. Charlie Davenport, good qualifying for Davenport for the second week running. He starts inside the top 5, alongside Matthew Hubert in the number 7. Didn't see a lot of him last week, but he's up towards the front. Brain Perez had a tyre go down on lap 2 last week that ruined his race. He starts alongside the number 81 of Tyler Jericho. And then rounding out the top 10 here, Carson Miller had a top 10 run, as we mentioned. He's 9th in the points. He starts alongside Mateus Bento in the number 4. Got the number 14. That's not going to be confusing at all. I guess they are somewhat different. Trajan Hawk, we didn't see a whole lot of. Got involved in a crash last week. Miles Inamatsu starts alongside in the number 2. There's a runner-up from last week, Ryan Durrani in the number 18, hoping to go one better tonight. Starts from a pretty good position, 13th. Sarah Taylor in the number 10 starts from 14th. Tim Simmons had a bit of a say in the outcome of that race last week. He starts from the 15th position alongside Benny Watson in the number 9. Duncan Ward starts 17th in the number 17 alongside third place finisher from last week, Caleb Rose. And then the two winners actually of the Charlotte races. So I mentioned Donnie Anthony won the Bank of America 500 late at the end of the season. Alexander Rowe won the Coca-Cola 600 earlier last season. And they will round out the top 20. So with that said, starting up on the left side of your screen with the GRT as I mentioned. And you'll see these drivers fire up and roll off for 40 laps of action. 4-0. We'll be looking forward to what will hopefully be quite an entertaining race here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. There are pit stops in this race. They're going to be a bit different to what we saw in the Cup Series. The Cup Series fuel run was about 27 to 30 laps. So these guys can go the distance. They will not need to pit, but will the tyre wear have an impact throughout the night? We'll find out as the race goes along. Going to be a lot of fun, and just very, very interesting to see Robert Dawn lead the field to green in this one. Not what I anticipated in qualifying, but the 44 looking to keep that momentum up. Of course, a very short series. This one only 8 races, so you've got to make every post a winner. Right now, he's off to the best start of any driver, but you've also got Chen up there. Durrani's not that far back. There are going to be some drivers that are going to work their way through the field. I mean, Ray Gillespie starts towards, he starts on the penultimate position. He worked his way forward last week from 31st. It's not as easy to make ground here at Charlotte, at least in theory anyway. We'll see if that holds true. Rogel Dawn, our last winner, alongside Jared Oren on the front row in the restart zone. Green flags in the air, and we are underway in the Alsco 250. And for the lead, coming down the front straightaway to lead the first lap will be Rogel Dawn, but Brendan Wilmington right there on that inside, and he is going to try and take the lead away off into turn 1, gets underneath, makes sure Rogel Dawn gets shuffled up the racetrack. And so Wilmington for Front Row Motorsports takes the lead at almost 4 wide. That was Leonard Koshma down low. Teammate Henry Guo in the 11th thought about it. Isaac Nichols and Carson Riggy were the other ones involved in that. They're at the back of the field, but no harm, no foul. They keep off each other. Brad Perez made an aggressive start in the 15. He was already he's had a much better start than he had last week. It's fair to say, but he made it 3 wide. Sent Charlie Davenport to the middle, and now of course Davenport slipping back. But Perez now working his way to the lead. He gets around Wellington, and he takes the lead away. So of course Perez won 2 races at the back end of last season, driving for Brendan Wilmington's team, Pacific Racing. He's off at Velocity in the Cup Series next year. He's leading this race. Rogel Dawn in 3rd. Carson Miller working his way forward. Here's Ryan Durrani, his teammate in the 81. Tyler Jericho's worked his way to the inside. Good to see Tim Simmons up here. Duncan Ward had that engine problem last week. Hoping to have a much better run here tonight. He's on the inside. A bit of 3 wide in front. You've got Chen in the middle. Couple of colleague teammates. Trajan Hawk there as well. The 14. On the way outside, Jericho gets past. Look at this, they're all over the place. They can go 4 wide again. That is Sarah Taylor way down low in the 10. Backs out of it, which is good, because otherwise that would have been an unmitigated disaster potentially. But look at this, 3 by 3 by 3 throughout this little group of cars at least. Mid-pack at the moment. The single filing more so out in front. Here comes Rogel Dawn in the 44. Got a bit of assistance from Carson Miller. So, I mean, 2 of the drives that ran pretty well last week. I mean, really Jericho, we never really got to see Jericho Ashley Caboose lost her engine last week, and that had an impact. But Durrani is going to go 3 wide here. He's going to put Oren in the middle. Wilmington way up high. Miller goes to the inside of Rogel Dawn as Perez tries to check out. And Miller's going to get up to second. Here comes Durrani way down low. But, I mean, you can see straight away, and whether or not this is indicative for the rest of the season, we'll find out, as here comes Jericho 3 wide on the bottom. Underneath of his teammate there, of Durrani. Rogel Dawn up top, but you see that inside lane just did not get the run. And for Jericho, and you've got a whole heap of the Bill McAnally. Hopefully I get that right. I probably got that. I probably totally butchered it. I never get that one right. But you got 3 of them up here. We haven't seen much of the 19 yet, but you know, 3 of those trucks right there, all teammates. Trajan Hawk and his teammate Sarah Taylor back in there as well. So a couple of Corley trucks. And of course Miller running in second. Not for long though. Here comes Durrani on the inside. So moves are being made up and down the field. But as you can see by what Brayden Perez has done, eventually we'll get to a time where this will not be the norm. And this will, things will calm down. We'll see a lot more single file up and down the field. But Durrani up to second. He gets around the 25. Oh, no, Miller's going to cross back underneath. Get down to the inside. And it's got the 14 and the 10. So 2 teammates on that inside behind as well. So Miller back up to second. Here comes Hawk. Here comes Sarah Taylor. Roberto Crown Jr. We didn't see any of Roberto Crown Jr. Oh, Roberto Crown Jr. Why don't I say that? Roberto Crown Jr. Didn't see much of them last week, but doing a very nice job working their way forward in this 77 for Spire. You got Dawn and Wilmington. Wilmington's in an awkward spot because you got Duncan Ward. There's Kobe Light in the 42. Way down on that inside. Charlie Davenport got shuffled way out earlier on. He's trying to work his way back forward. You got Jerry Chen as well. He got spat out a bit. Thomas Troxel, our pole sitter from last week, got involved in the crash. Jake Rogers, Leonard Koshma. All these guys at the moment, these guys are inside that top 20. Mateus Bento, 20th. Caleb Rose, who finished 3rd last week, is outside the top 20. As they currently run. Not having a good night so far. Nicholas Simunio back in there. Ashley Caboose. Got the 12. Carson Green. He's already had a much better week than he did last week. Dominic Anthony is a long way back. There's Ray Gillespie in the 99, who works his way forward. Oh, it's Josh. He finished inside the top 5 last week. Carson Riggy also ran very well last week. And they're all at the back of the field here at the moment. Ooh, that was very interesting to see the 2 lines there. The difference in lines is Perez and Miller. Almost. I mean, Miller got very close to the back. Tyler Jericho got completely shuffled out there. The 81. He's on the cusp potentially of falling outside the top 10. Because it's got Kobe Light, Charlie Davenport, Jerry Chen. They're all trying to work their way past. Here comes the 77. Here we go for the lead. And Miller on the inside trying to take the lead away here. And it's going to do it pretty easily in the end. Carson Miller to the front. And here comes his teammate Trajan Hawk in the 14. So 2 of the drivers who debuted on the channel last week currently 1st and 2nd. Here comes Roberto Crown in the 77. They want a race win, I can guarantee you that. You've got Dawn trying to work his way back up. You've got Wilmington, Kobe Light, a bit of a gap back to Davenport. As Perez looks back to the inside, this time trying to get underneath here. Oh, Trajan Hawk. Won't be able to quite get underneath. He's going to have to stick him behind for now. But you can see, as I said, I mean, there's still a lot of, double file racing behind. But really, for the most part, single file here up at the front. Roberto Crown has another crack here at Sarah Taylor. Sends it deep into the corners. Perez down to the inside here for 2nd. And Crown's going to make it stick. Taylor perhaps got out of the gas, the throttle, just to ensure that there was no contact there with the 77. And look at Hawk swooping down to the inside. And he's going to get back past the 15. So the colleague Rams, they look very, very competitive. At least 3 of them do. Here comes Rogel Dawn to the inside of Crown. This is a battle for 4th. As Hawk walks up the track. Leaves Perez out in the marbles, and there's not as much grip up there, but might still have a look to the inside turn 1. Not close enough. So the Rams are 1 and 2. Carson Miller leading Trajan Hawk. Then you've got Perez, Dawn, and Crown, the top 5. And a lot of battling up and down the field. Still got a long way to go in this race. 25, got 25 to go next time by as Dawn forces the opening to the inside here of Braden Perez. He's going to get to the third position. And Taylor's working her way back into it here as well. Kobe Light, he's working his way up towards the front. And the 42, of course, teammate to Rogel Dawn at Nice Motorsports. Jericho working his way back forward. Thomas Troxel and Koshma. A couple of other Tricol trucks. So very interesting to see. A lot of the team trucks are all, working. They're all thereabouts towards the front of the field. Really, with the exception of the front row trucks, because Wilmington's up at the front. Carson really struggling here in this race. You got the battle for third rather. You see the field down all the way down. Carson Reed down at 34th last time by. Sarah Taylor there in the 10 wanted to make it 3 wide, wasn't close enough. Perez is going to get past and up to third. So lots of chopping and changing here throughout the field. But Hawk is now closing in on his teammate. Well, right as I say that, you see they've got different lines. They like to take different lines here at Charlotte. We saw that even in the Cup races. They like to take different lines. Sometimes the outside lane can work, sometimes the inside lane can work. Good mix here at Charlotte. So here comes Dawn once again to the inside of Brain Perez, but Perez gets a strong burst of momentum, strong surge off the top. And he's going to get clear for third. Only Dawn vulnerable to Taylor, but not close enough. Top 5 single file. Whoa! Roberto Crown way up top. Not sure if that was just a mistake or if that was overdrive, or there was any contact or what have you, but that was a long way up the track. Thomas Troxel's on the move here in the 1. Started the pole last week, but didn't really have much to show for it, given that he was involved in that crash very early on. His teammate Perez, you could probably say the same after that mechanical issue, but he's now up to 6 now, Troxel, and going to get to the inside here of Sarah Taylor. So moves are being made. Up and down the order again, you see Rogel Dawn. I mean, some of these drivers going in really deep into the corner. It's hurting their chances, hurting their run out of the corner in a lot of ways. You got Wilmington sniffing around here as well, the 38. Going down underneath of the 10. As Troxel now is going to go to 4th, so keep an eye on the 1 truck here in this one. Matthew Huber back in there as well in the 7, along with Koshma. Those two work their way forward pretty nicely here in this race. Beauties of single car, equal range series. You got a bit of 3 wide back in there. Mateus Bento. You got the 42 here. Kobe Light was there. Look at Roberto Crown wanting to get to the inside of Wilmington. Wilmington offers a little bit of the bond, but then shuts the door rather, just a little bit. Right now, Carson Miller has done a very good job here in the 25. He's taken the lead and has held it ever since. Right on cue, he drives up the racetrack a little bit. Perez goes way down to the bottom. Oh, and he got underneath here of the 14. I thought Hawk might have been the one to pounce on Miller, but instead Perez to the inside. Does he have enough of a run to hold that into turn 1? No. Yes. Yes. Drove it in pretty hard once again. Was able to keep that bottom a bit better than perhaps some of the other drivers around him. So Perez going back to 2nd. We've got Colleague, Tricon, and then Nice, front row, and Spire. Very interesting. And then you got another Colleague truck and a couple Spire trucks back in there. So very interesting to see the dynamics play out as Perez wants to take the lead back. Led very early on, led a lot of laps, and he's closing in here on Carson Miller. Can't quite get underneath. Troxel to the inside of Dawn. With a bit of he's going to get a big shove here from the 38. And Troxel now up into the 4th position. So keep an eye on the 1 truck. It's been very fast. You've got Wilmington now back up into the top 5. Hubert is really making some ground here in the 7. Keep an eye on that Hendrick Cars truck. And keep an eye on the 14 here, Trajan Hawk. I mean, nobody can. This is impressive by Miller, though. He's been able to hold the lead for as long as he has, and obviously the tyre wear is playing a part into that. It's harder to get runs to the inside of drivers, or get through the corners rather on the inside. Right on cue, Brennan Wilmington just dove it in there, made it stick, and got around Troxel. So he's up to 4th. But you saw Hawk there. He had a pretty good run underneath the 15, and they couldn't really do anything with it. Now he goes back to the inside. Troxel right there as well. So they're all closing back in here on Miller. We've got a whole gaggle of cars all the way down to Koshma. He's 11th at the moment. They're all competing up towards the front, trying to get themselves a race win. Gain some ground here in this championship, unless you're Rogaldorn, who's looking to extend that championship lead. Ryan Durrani, not sure what happened to him, but he has plummeted down the order. He's actually behind Caleb Rose now, so that's interesting, to say the least. Jerry Chen also back in there. Dominic Anthony, running outside the top 20. Sorry, Alexander Road there at 61. OS Josh, he had a top 5 car, top 5 truck last week. He's a long way down the order. I'm trying to find where you are at the moment. Jared Oren, by the way, is 30th. In the 91. Not a good run for him or his teammate Andrew Williams. Carson Riggy as well, a long way back. Not sure what happened to Tim Simmons, but he's now at the back of the field in the 52. But luckily, no mechanical issues this week. We had like 3 or 4 of them last week. We had a single one here in this race. Funny world, isn't it? Perez is all over the back of Carson Miller. He's trying to take the lead away. I'm trying to get that lead back. Hubert on the inside here of Wilmington. Now Troxel peeks down to the inside of Hawk. So maybe the one of Thomas Troxel might be the one to watch. He's up to 3rd, although Hubert with a good run on the bottom. He's able to carry that momentum on the inside, at least for the through 3 or 4. Couldn't get as much. Couldn't carry that momentum actually out of the corner, really. He will probably still get around Hawk. And he does, and then Troxel washes up the track just a little bit. Well, I thought he was going to pounce, but couldn't quite. Actually worked out quite well for Troxel. He was able to pull away a bit. This is where the battle is at the moment for the lead. Perez going to have a look. Oh, he's going to have a look. Miller invited the opening. Here comes the 15 down to the inside. Brady Perez trying to take the lead back away from Carson Miller. But Miller, with a good drive out of turn 4, is going to hold on. And then cut down in front of Perez. That was close. Could have been ugly, but luckily no harm, no foul. But here we go. Here comes Troxel. He's had enough of Perez trying to get past the 25. He wants to get up to the 2nd position and try and take the lead. Hubert right behind as well. Be careful back there as Wellington slid up the racetrack. I thought he was going to make a bit of contact with Trajan Hawk, who's now dropping back. So Troxel now to 2nd. Perez on that outside. In the 15, he's going to lose probably a spot to Hubert here, you'd imagine, in the 7. Sarah Taylor back in there as well, the 10 in 5th. They've formed a bit of a breakaway here. Wilmington, Hawk, Tyler Jericho. You've got the 44 of Rogel Dawn, Roberto Crown. That's the 10. Here we go. Oh, Troxel overdrove it just a little bit. It's going to open the door here for Hubert. Can he carry that momentum on the inside here as we've got 10 to go this time? Nobody's been able to get around Carson Miller. But Hubert has slowly but surely been picking off drivers. And he's now up to 2nd. And he's going to try and hunt down this 25. There's Perez back underneath. He's going to get back around Thomas Troxel. Wilmington's caught back up to these guys. Well, so I can't count him out of it just yet. Here goes the 10 of Taylor. Is going to slide up. Here comes Wilmington. Didn't get. I don't know. He got a good enough run there. Taylor's going to get clear. Don't know if he got a good. Don't think he got a good enough run there. Here comes Perez to the inside, underneath of the 7 of Hubert. So all this chopping and changing, but no change out in front. Carson Miller has, ever since he's hit the lead, he has not. Well, he's been challenged, but he's been able to hold on, and that's been the most important thing here in this race for him. We're coming to 8 to go this time. The more they battle, the more it does him a favour. Oh, we got a yellow! Oh, Dominic Anthony. Oh, Carson Green. 2nd week in a row. And Henrik War in the number 11. That is... Yeah, that is not good, unfortunately. First caution of the night. Looks like maybe a mechanical issue on the 11. You see Benny Watson back in there. May have been involved as well. Certainly 3 trucks at least involved. Anthony way back there. Carson Green with a whole heap of damage. And Henry Gore in the 11. So we're going to get ourselves a restart. With a handful of laps to go. I don't know. Is that what... Carson Miller happy or not as happy about that? I don't know. We'll find out. I guess we'll only find out in hindsight. whether or not he'll be happy about this. But he has dominated this race. He's led the most laps. He is the leader. Let's take a look what happened to trigger the first caution of the night. Before we actually take a look at what happened to the 12 and company, this is what happened to Henry Gore. He's had a valve issue on this car, and unfortunately the number 11 blows up out of turn 4, and that's his night done. So he had nothing to do with the following accident. Take a look here. This is an awkward one, because you got a couple of future teammates at Gifford Technologies Incorporated. It doesn't start with Jerry Chen. You see Durrani's up the racetrack. Dominic Anthony slid way up the racetrack. You see Rogers actually in the wall back in there. But Durrani and Anthony make contact. Anthony slides down into the 16 of Jerry Chen. And Jerry Chen's trying to hold on to it. He slides up into Benny Watson. And you see he gets spun around. And Carson Green's got nowhere to go. Wrong place, wrong time. And I can imagine the frustration, and rightly so, for Carson Green. See, Anthony's sliding around. It's going to nudge the wall. I don't know if anyone else actually... See, they all do a good job avoiding Watson now. Does Andrew Williams... Williams got into orange just a little bit. Nothing severe, but a little bit of contact. And you see that scrambles the pack. But luckily, outside of, unfortunately, poor old Carson Green, nothing too severe, but... not good for Anthony, not good for Green, Watson, or Jerry Chen, all involved in this accident late in the going here at Charlotte. Going to see this all unfold here in real time. Anthony just slides up the race. He just slides up a little too much, and just a little bit of contact there, and that's all that it really takes. And Carson Green found the inside wall again. Luckily, I mean, you see the damage there on the 16, a bit of damage on the 9 of Watson, but really that could have been a whole lot worse. But Carson Green, he will not be too happy about this. He's out of the race, and, well, he finished last week. He's going to finish second to last tonight. So that probably puts him out of championship contention already. Tough break for Green, tough break for Anthony Watson and Jerry Chen, all involved in that accident. The race leader is Carson Miller. He has dominated. He's led the most laps. Can he hold on, or will Hubert, Perez, or somebody else find the way to victory lane? Let's find out. Our first and final restart of the race coming up. We'll be restarting with 4 laps to go here in the Alsco 250. Carson Miller is the race leader. He took the lead away within the first, let's say, just 25% or so of the race. He's dominated since then, but he's got a bit of work to do, because Matthew Hubert is in second, Braden Perez is in third, Sarah Taylor is fourth, Brennan Wilmington rounds out the top 5, Thomas Truxell, Tyler Jericho, our last winner Royal Dawn, Roberto Crown, and the 14 Trajan Hawk, all inside the top 10. They're all hungry for themselves a race win. Just to compare matters here for Tim Simmons, and this will probably be on your screen now. Just to compare matters for the 52. He was involved in an incident under the caution. He's had to come back down, repair the damage on that truck. The 52, and there were a few others as well and were involved in that. But Simmons certainly the worst off of everyone involved. So, like Carson Green, Tim Simmons has not had a great start to the season, and could well be championship over for him already. He's still got, we're only 2 races in. But Carson Miller, that is, he's got a lot of hungry drivers right behind him. Be restarting with 4 laps to go here at Charlotte. In the restart zone now. And there's the green flag. We are back underway here in the Alsco 250, and good restart for the top 3, and Perez going down to the inside, trying to take this position away. And he's going to get past here and up into second. So Perez was at the second most laps here tonight, trying to get back and trying to take the lead away here from Carson Miller. Here comes Sarah Taylor. Troxell got a good restart. Tyler Jericho in there as well. He's going to have to back out of it a little bit. But does Braden Perez have anything for the 25? We'll find out. We've got 3 laps to go here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Casamilla, the race leader. Perez at second. Taylor battling here with Wilmington. Wilmington trying to run that outside. Can he make it work, or will Taylor hold on to fourth? Here comes Perez. It's pretty close to the back. Was drifting away down this straight, so he's going to have to regroup here. Hubert with him. It may just end up being between these three drivers. Perez needs a really good result, and same could be said for Hubert. They had bad runs at Homestead. They got a chance here at winning here at Charlotte, as we've now got 2 laps to go. The battle's on behind. Williamson to the inside of Taylor for 4th. But it's going to come down to these three as Hubert drives away up the racetrack. Miller opens the door. Here comes the 15. He wasn't quite able to get underneath that 25. And this is a bearded ground. We come into the white flag next time by. It is Carson Miller in the 25 who's dominated the race. We saw a last lap pass though last week. Here comes the 15 of Perez though trying to make a run at it. White flag, 1 lap to go. Carson Miller leading. Brandon Perez right behind. Wilmington's up to 4th, back in there in the 38. He doesn't really have a shot at it. Bray Perez is all over the back here of Carson Miller, but once again he loses ground out of turn 2. He's not close enough. It's looking good here for Carson Miller, but he runs it a little bit wide. Here comes the 15. Oh, is he there? He's not quite going to get there. He's going to get alongside, but it's not going to matter. Carson Miller wins the Alsco 250 here at Charlotte. Another finish side by side. Wasn't quite as close as last week, but still an entertaining finish to say the least. And Carson Miller gets himself the race win here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Brandon Perez tried and tried and tried. He just didn't really have what it takes. Just didn't really have what it took to beat the 25. And he ends up in the 2nd position. Strong performances really all around. What was quite a fun race here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Alsco 250. Final results on your screen right now. Carson Miller gets the win. He led the bulk of the laps here tonight. Nearly 1/3 of the laps. Sorry. Nearly 3/4 of the laps here tonight. He dominated. He wins the race. Brad Perez ends up in 2nd. You've got to give him a lot of credit, but just didn't quite have enough to get around him in time. Hubert, Wilmington. So all 3 of those guys really needed those results. Sarah Taylor as well. All 4 of them really needed that result. Even Roberto Crown is another one that you'd probably say. So a lot of drivers having strong. Thomas Truxell, another one. But Miller was up there last week. Rogel Dawn, obviously up there last week. Our Pulsar didn't quite have the speed tonight. He's still up inside the top 10. Kobe Light and Charlie Davenport dropped back early on. He ended up back inside the top 10 late. Tyler Jericho dropped all the way down to 11th at the end. Trajan Hawk was up there for a lot of the night. Ended up in 12th. Ashley Caboose we didn't see a whole lot of, but nice solid run. Caleb Rose. OS Josh, he made his way forward in the 93. Mateus Bento, Duncan Ward, Leonard Koshma, Isaac Nichols, and then Alexander Rowe rounded out the top 20. Did not see much of the 62 in this race. Ryan Durrani dropped back to 21st at the end of all that. Not a good night for our runner-up from last week. He finished barely ahead of teammate Jared Oren, Logan Williams, Nicholas Samudio, Andrew Williams, Ray Gillespie, Carson Riggy, Miles Inamatsu. Jerry Chen was, of course, involved in that incident, so a bit of damage on that car. Jake Rogers rounded out the top 30. Dominic Anthony spun out in that accident. He ended up being 31st. Max Davis, Benny Watson, Tim Simmons, those two, along with Anthony, didn't have a great night. I think Davis is involved in that collision under the yellow with the 52. And then 2 drivers failed to finish. Carson Green, for the 2nd week in a row, unfortunately this time an accident rather than a mechanical issue. And then Henry Gore ended up in 36th. Here are the championship standings after the 2 races this season here in the Budget Truck Series. Rogel has a 1-point lead. That 1 lap he led at the start of the race is the difference right now between himself and Carson Miller. They are 1 and 2 in the championship. Caleb Rose, after all that, he's still in 3rd in the points. OS Josh, he actually moves up to 4th, even though it wasn't a great night. Ryan Durrani down to 5th. And then lots of movement there on back, as is typically the case when you're and you're only 2 races in. Lots of drivers moving up, lots of drivers moving down. Kobe Light up 10, Tyler Jericho up 8, Jericho 6th, Light 7th. Hubert up to 8th in the points. Mateus Bento without a top 10. Tyler Jericho without a top 10. They're 6th of the 9th. And then Brendan Wilmington inside the top 10 in the championship. You see the full standings right there. And I tell you what, I'm looking at these standings and you will see them as they are accurately updated. But lots of drivers on that are right up tied with each other. I mean, there's only 1 point separating 11th and 19th in the championship. That's quite remarkable to say. Of course, very early days, very even field, of course, with the equal ratings formula. See the full standings from 21st on down. Lots of drivers with either a bad night tonight or a bad night last week. And that's hence why that they are as far down the order as they currently are. There's still time enough to potentially turn it around, but they probably want to get going because a lot of these guys are a race or so back already here at the championship and then at the back of the field. Some heavy hitters here at the back of the field on this final page. Rogers, Samulia, Gore, Duncan Ward, and then unfortunately Tim Simmons, Carson Green, in particular Carson Green. He's had a really rough couple of outings, and so as a result, a long way off the pace already. Next time out, we're going to a track that I've never been to here on the channel, and that is the Pikes Peak International Raceway up in Fountain, Colorado. So looking forward to what will go down there up in the Rocky Mountains next time out. Congratulations to Carson Miller here on winning the Alsco 250, and we'll see everybody next Sunday once again for the Pikes race at Pikes Peak, the Menards 150. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday.